Welcome back to the couch because my back is bothering me again. But
Uh-oh.
this is a day where we're going to talk about validation anyway. I'm Keith.
I'm Rodney. I'm trying to find some energy. It's been a week. It's been a morning. This is the Dad Chronicle, and we're leaving tidbits for our daughters, for our future selves, and we're building community with you. And today we're going to talk about validation.
Nice,
Keith,
nice impulse. I like it. I woke up this morning. So earlier in the week, you had paid me a compliment that basically, when I have my mindset on something, that it is going to get done. And there's this weird, I don't know how, we've talked a lot privately about validation and the need for it, and that negative association with it.
well, let's
um
but let's get into some of that. Like, what?
yeah, so like
How do you?
historically,
Yeah.
I know, so like in this moment, in this week, my mind is shifting on it, but like historically we seek validation, right? We seek it to the extent of,
We
as
humans or we?
humans, yeah, as humans, like we're social creatures, so we want to make sure what we're doing is positively reflected in the society at large. um, and there's a lot of negative emotions that can go along with that. I know for me, in trying to seek it for so long and not necessarily getting it in the way that I was seeking it, it had a negative impact on me, right? I didn't necessarily go in the directions that felt right to me because I didn't have the proper I wasn't getting the validation I was looking for. And so I think about validation negatively in those contexts, right? Like if we over index on looking
Yeah.
for it, we tend to index less on who we actually are. We think differently about ourselves and all of these other things.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there is a component of it that is helpful. I don't want to say necessary, but it's helpful to the alignment of who you are. So I've never thought of myself as the person who, when he has his mind set on something, it's going to happen. Now, that's how I've always acted in my life. So there's a weird dichotomy there, right? I've always acted differently than the way I think about myself. And so you saying that, I think it just triggered a further establishment of alignment. And it's like, yeah, that's right. Now I'm going to just do it. I'm going to keep going. And it's motivating me further because there's like, yes, that's right. And I'm glad it's at least it's acknowledged. It's understood. Someone told me they
So
understand it, right?
you just to understand real quick. So you've always wanted it, but never gotten it how you wanted it, and also you had some negative associations with wanting it, with
Yes.
wanting to be
Or
validated.
yes.
Like what? Just an example of like a negative. Uh, is it like a socially like it's not accepted to seek validation, or familially, or just personally, or
I think it's a familiar. There's a
yeah,
when you're
familially. That's not a word. I just said it, but
yeah, but there's a family component of it that's, let's say you want to be a baseball player, and that desire is not validated. So you don't pursue it. You don't fight for it, even though that's what you want. And you may never get it, but because it's not validated or you're not validated, all of a sudden that lack of validation does two things. It makes you think, or for me, makes me think, oh, I'm not thinking about this correctly. And two, start to look in other areas where validation is received, right? So you get a job, earn a paycheck, you're validated for that, right? So it's like, okay, this is the way that life is supposed to go, even if it doesn't align with the things that you want to achieve, give back to the world, and accomplish in life, right? So even though in this particular situation, what I'm not talking about anymore, and this is where I think it's the validation of the external that I've often sought, like versus the validation of the internal. And what you did was you acknowledged like a component of who I am, and it was like, shit, yeah, that's right. Let's go. You know, and it's
Yeah, I mean,
just
I think validation is about the fact that we all there was the component of the social that's part, we're social beings, but everybody has a different alignment to social contracts. I think
yep,
what we all have is a need to be seen and heard, and I think that the right validation for you or for whomever does that.
yep, yep,
And so yeah, I think
yeah,
that's what it is. I think I mean that's how it is for me. I never I was kind of taught not to seek validation, and I thought I never needed it. And it turns out my actual love language is words of affirmation, which is
mm-hmm,
validation.
yep,
Um, so like I was actually cutting off the way that I am heard, or I realize I'm heard. There we go. The way I realize I'm heard. So yeah, no, I mean it's wildly important, and it's wildly important. And then I found out that I'm able to validate myself. Ooh.
yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing. It's wildly important and it's wildly caustic at the same time, right? Like, and I don't think it's so much the validation we receive; it's the validation that we seek that is the negative. If I'm seeking validation of because I'm
How
not
I look
aligned,
or
or
what
I'm
I'm
just not
doing.
aligned, and I'm trying to find that circumstance based on external reflection that says, "Oh, this is who you are." It's like, "Oh, that must be who I am," even though that's not the validation I need. The validation we need or the acknowledgement is like, "No, this is how I feel I am." And it's like, "You recognize that too? Cool. So I'm good." Right?
Right.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why it's so hard, and people anchor on that. Haters, like there's all kinds of critics. People like, we're all critics in our own way, and because everybody lives their life or desired life differently, even at little bits. And you look at professional athletes, like the mentality of a professional athlete is a very small percentage in the world, right? Like that dedication, that commitment, that ability to do all of the things that they do, it's not just talent. That mentality is criticized because most people don't understand it. Because
Hmm.
we just don't live that way on a daily basis. So
It's like,
there's so
oh, they're
many
just playing the game. It's
haters,
like
right?
they're not. No,
Yeah.
they're not.
And those haters drive because they're not looking for validation from the press. They're not looking for validation from you. They're not looking for validation from anybody else. They have it and they get it from the circle of people that they care about.
Mm.
And it keeps them moving forward.
And that's an important part, like defining who it is important for you to have validation from, and you should probably be the number one in that circle. Not circle.
Yeah. Should be at the
The
center
circles,
of it for sure.
the circles have a number one. You should be at the start of your validation train, and then it's okay to have other people on it, but
Yep.
you gotta lead it. Um, this has been a good conversation. So, what's your take on validation? Do you look at it negatively? Do you seek it? Do you accept it? There's, there's a whole thing about accepting validation, but do you accept it? Um, yeah. What do you think? Let us know.
Let us know.